All right, what's going on, people? Corner Store Podcast. This is Rob on the mic. We got a repeat guest on the panel. How you doing, Chief Boy? How you doing? Yeah, man. You wanted to talk to me about a couple of things, man. So what's going on?
I've just been talking to a lot of my military friends, and I asked a question. I like to ask questions. So you get answers if you ask the right questions, right? So I started asking some military friends of mine how important sex was in the military. And when I say sex, I mean, why is sex so important in our society now? To the point where now we got the battle of the sexes. We got men versus women, women versus women, men versus men. We have all these different groups of people, and not even just the LGBTQI communities, but everyone wants the same thing, and no one is going to get the same thing. Now, these are like illusions.
What is that? The same thing? Like, what is that specific thing that you're talking about?
Everyone thinks they have the same privileges just because they were born on this planet. But some people think it should just be given to them, and others think that they work exceptionally hard for their money and don't have to share the tax wealth with the rest of the community. Even though those people work for those companies, so you got your employees paying taxes, but the big businesses aren't paying their taxes.
Yeah, that's
so it's like, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so all I'm saying is, if you think you're going to get something on this earth, you better work for it, because the time of the lazy people, that's over for y'all. People don't understand what this country is about to go through. We about to go through some things, and they need serious people to fix some of these serious problems, instead of everybody just being forced to be an LGBTQTI whatever supporter. Like, I'm not gay. I don't want to be gay, and it's all right for me to say I'm straight, and that I don't want to be in those swim lanes with those people. I have no problem with gay people. I have family members who are gay. I don't judge them for their status. I show all the people in my family the same respect. But when I looked at my zip code the other day back in Chicago, there's like almost 2,400 registered sex offenders in that zip code. We got a problem.
Wow.
And we need to fix it. And there are too many young boys that are being molested at younger ages, and then they're being turned into being homosexual. Not all of them, but many of them. And the same thing with women, but they don't talk about the men. These topics that I'm talking about in my book and other things, they don't care about the men. They're willing just to leave us behind and let us follow them. What's going on?
Yeah, man, that's like the byproduct of the single family homes headed by women. This phenomenon been going on literally since the 70s, since they kind of pushed the men out. So you make these children vulnerable to be molested when there's only one parent. For the most part, the feminine, head of household. There's no masculine presence that's going to kind of keep order in the household. That's why these kids are kind of running amok. So it started in the 70s, and I remember like in the early 90s, in which the government kind of mandated that parents really can't discipline their kids anymore.
Right.
And kids were kind of encouraged to kind of like call the authorities, call DCFS on their parents anytime that there was, anytime that they felt that there was some type of abuse. But, it could be just a hard-nosed discipline type of parent, but, that child may take that the wrong way and want to call the police or the authorities on them. So, but yeah, I mean, the households are out of whack, the communities are out of whack, the schools are out of whack. So as
And
far
it's
as
all falling apart right now, and people don't even see it.
Mhm,
Like, these people are blind. They're
mhm,
blind, deaf, and dumb.
mhm.
And somebody needs to wake them up, because it doesn't make any sense. You know, why is it that sex is so important in the military? Do we join the military to have sex, or do we join the military to defend the country?
You know what? All right.
I'm
Yes.
just saying. I mean,
Right.
look, there's sex being done, but they're more focused on sex than they are doing their job.
I mean,
More people are being raped in the military right now and having to get expedited transfers, going around. They got a bunch of rapists running around in the military. All right.
yeah.
A bunch of rapists running around, and they got protections too, because if you can intimidate your victim, they do a restricted report, which means they know who you are, but they're not going to arrest you or prosecute you for it.
You know
And that
what?
needs to stop,
You know
because
what? Um,
it's crazy.
like back when I was in the military, I mean, there was like a sergeant that was kind of like accused of something. And as far as the enlisted, if they're like accused of something, then more than likely they will be prosecuted. But I can recall like officers being charged that, but they kind of swept it under the rug, and they would probably transfer either him or they transfer the victim to like a different unit. But it's definitely
Right,
treated differently, between officers and enlisted.
right. Well, I mean, you know, we have to go through sexual assault training once a year. It's mandatory for all DoD personnel.
Oh,
Like, if it's that much of a problem, then why aren't y'all fixing it? They're not fixing it.
mm-hmm.
And you know, there are humans, male and female, that get VA disabilities for military sexual trauma. So if you were raped while you were in the military, you get a special VA disability because you were a military member on active duty when you were raped by, most of the time, another military person.
Mm, mm. And
So
how they had this going on for as far as like
it's been going on forever,
okay.
and it's still been getting worse. And I've been CNN. They talk about it a little bit every now and then. You know, they talk about Congress and what they're trying to change and all this stuff. They're not persecuting these offenders, and
Mm,
that's the problem. Now, you know that there's restricted reporting, so I mean, you can tell your victim that you'll make sure someone else gets them if you tell on them.
mm-hmm.
I mean, they use intimidation. They're rapists. That's what rape people. That's what rape people do. They intimidate people.
Right.
But when I was on one of my bases about a few years ago, they said they had one guy who had 3 restricted reports on him. While we were doing training, I asked the right question,
Mm-hmm.
because they were talking about restricted reporting. It's so great. You can go get your medical treatment. You can get transferred. We'll take care of you as the victim. So I asked this one lady one time. I said, "Do you have a person on this base that has more than 1 restricted report?" She said, "Oh yeah, we have one that has 3." I'm saying, like, 3. Now, all the rest of the sailors that were in the room at the time looked around like, wow, there's a guy on this base that got 3 restricted reports on him.
Mm-hmm.
You think that made them feel safe when that lady told them that?
Now, why would the military just discharge them?
Discharge who? The person that's been accused?
Yes.
Because they've just been accused.
Um, and all
So look. I'm not an expert in the subject, but I can tell you, I can give you the average Joe answer. Okay,
okay.
that's what I'll do. Basically, if someone's accused of rape, you can either go tell a chaplain, a medical person, commanding officer or a sexual assault uh, counselor.
Hmm.
There's only so many people that you can tell.
Okay.
If you tell anybody else, then it has to go unrestricted, which means you have to name who the person is. But they use the restricted part just so the victim can be taken care of. But you got multiple victims from multiple predators, and they're not out here really trying to find these predators. They're saying, well, we'll take evidence, we'll lock it up in a safe place. And I mean, I've been retired for about 4 years now, but back then I think they kept the evidence around for a year. And then if you don't do anything, then I don't know what they do with it. There was only one exception when I was in an independent duty foreman school in San Diego. California law says that if you get raped, you have to report the offender. So that was the only state that I ever was in where a sailor, Marine, whoever could not do a restricted report because the state of California doesn't tolerate that, apparently, in the rest of the country. They want to know who the rapist is. They don't want to just know, they don't just want to help the victim. They want to know who the rapist is.
So if
They
one
can
was to be
stop raping people.
all right, so if one was to be accused, then are they taken off of duty until there's like a court martial?
Well, it all depends. If it's restricted, it's business as normal. That person's going back to work every day.
Now, how would one become a restricted status versus an unrestricted status?
It
Like,
all depends on the victim. They get to make the choice.
oh,
Either I can tell on this person or I can't tell on them. Or I can only tell certain people. Or it's not, forget about the third one, the people who don't say anything at all,
yeah, yeah,
you know, and they don't really talk about that too much. It's all the training I did, and never really talked about that third one, about people who just don't report it at all. Because some people don't,
yeah. Man.
especially males.
This is one of my fears, man, because like, I got two daughters, so whenever they go to college, of course, I'm going to get them like to talk as far as like, hey, if you're going to go to the like frat or sorority party, try not to drink, but
Right,
I'm pretty sure that they will drink,
right,
but I will set some type of like guidelines like, hey, if you're going to drink, make sure that you make your own drink. Do not have no one bring you a drink.
right,
Or after the party is over with, don't have some man escort you to your dorm room, or don't go to a man's dorm room unless you have some type of notion that you may want to become intimate. But I mean, of course, I'm going to kind of like um refine like my language as far as the way I kind of like teach them how to safeguard themselves when it comes to that. So
right.
but yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be like a different landscape, literally 15, 20 years from now, whenever they're in college. So I mean, if it's savage now, I can't imagine how it's going to be because everybody's so woke.
Oh my God. It's I mean, we got to start teaching these younger children that. Yeah, I just saw someone posted something on Facebook earlier today that was saying that we need to stop teaching our children about sex and just teach them how to be children. And with all the media, with all these movies, I mean they busting out. I mean, they got everything out here. I mean,
Yeah, you got hot girl
they
summer.
don't care about sex at all. I mean, they don't care about sex at all. So, I mean, what does a kid think? Like, children are too young to be knowing about sex. Period. They
Yeah,
don't need to be watching sexual acts. They don't need to be seeing their parents have sex. They don't. Look, their mind is not developed yet for sexual desires. That's the reason why they're not sexually active at young ages. But yet, they're letting them do it.
now, as far as schools, like, do you think it's like a fine line between teaching kids about sex or sexuality? Because I'm a firm believer that they should be learning that stuff at home, but all homes ain't created equal. I mean, if you got a two-parent, competent household, more than likely that child can like get the appropriate education from their parents if they know what they're doing or talking
Yeah.
about. But if you got
Well,
kids that's coming from broken homes, single family homes, are they really going to learn the appropriate sexual education from that parent. And if they're not going to learn it from their parent, they're going to learn it from out in the streets, from, trial and
Right.
error.
Well, I'm addressing this in my new book. Got a publisher, so it's going to happen a lot sooner than I thought. But I used to try to have these conversations with my father. Just to ask him about sex and girls and women, and all he ever said was, "Yeah, don't waste your time with them." That was it. That was the answer.
Oh yeah.
Like, it wasn't really an answer, but I also realized that there was a lot of things that he didn't know about uh, what's going out there in the world.
Yeah, it was a generational thing, more than likely. Yeah, I was saying it was more of a generational thing, more than likely, because I mean, as a parent trying to teach your kids about sex, you kind of gotta like to know like the landscape of what's going on currently out in the real world, just to kind of um, make yourself more relatable and how you can kind of like teach certain concepts and I guess be more cool, be more open to your kids.
Well, I
So
tell a lot of people, if you think love and sex are the same, they're not. They don't have one. One has nothing to do with the other. And like I said, I'm focusing on the boys and the young men. Starting at reproduction age. They
yeah,
need to know their anatomy, and they need to know that their testicles is like a universe down there. You got a galaxy there called the Milky Way. It's called all your sperm cells. So when you look out up in the sky and you see the Milky Way, yeah, that's what's inside your testicles too, but more. And you have to be careful what you do with your universe and who you give it to. Because if you put it in the wrong universe, and I was just telling my wife earlier, you know, if you think this paying child support for 18 years is enough,
mm,
that ain't enough. Your child don't stop being your child until either you or them no longer exist. And a lot of people, you know, at least our generation parents, they're like, when you're 18, you go to college, go to military. Some of them people weren't ready to go to either one. So you force fed them something and they failed, and then they came back and they mess around and get someone pregnant. They ain't got no money, ain't got no trade, and now you're labeled as a deadbeat dad because you might have needed a couple years of junior college or something before you ran off and to Alabama State or someplace like nowhere near home with no support system, and now you fail.
yeah.
It happens all the time, and we need to reevaluate how we're raising our children.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
Sex ain't love, and love ain't sex.
yeah, man.
Having a baby is not going to pay all your bills, ladies. And trust me, it don't pay all the bills.
I mean, it seemed like from the black community standpoint, babies is kind of used as like a come up to like get, housing and get food stamps, just to kind of get
For a lot of for a lot of people, they do that.
actually I recently heard this story about how there's this guy in New York. They call him the sperminator.
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard about this guy too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. You know what? That's reckless.
Yeah, he is on this way to having his 50th child, and like his last I guess donation of his sperm it was to this black woman who was living in a shelter. She was also lesbian. So she wanted to have a baby so that she could kind of get herself out of the homeless shelter so that she can kind of get started on housing and
She
get
got pregnant just to get benefits.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Y- y-
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately that's like one of the negatives about this so-called freedom we have in the US. Everything ain't free, but we're
Well, nothing's free. I mean,
right. We're actually
people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that we're definitely taking our freedom for granted. And just to piggyback to the military about how you asked the question, you know, when you joined the military, it was all about, patriotism, or was it about sex? I mean, I'll tell you this, man, as like a 18-year-old going into the military. I mean, yes, I mean, in the back of your head, you was trying to be patriotic. You was trying to, represent for your country. But as an 18-year-old kid, man, you ain't thinking about all that as far as like the big picture. You just thinking about every weekend as far as like what girls you're gonna meet up with. I mean, you just gotta hope that you're responsible with yourself. But other than that, I mean,
Right.
um, I
And
mean,
most of them are, but
yeah,
then you get, then you have the stupid knuckleheads like me that, thought I was invincible or whatever you want to call it. And I wasn't. I was very vulnerable to women. Um, I let the smile and charm, charm me. And it didn't work out so well. But I can't sit around here and just not tell my story to people because some of these people are going to listen to what I got to say. And that's important to me. Everyone should have a purpose on this earth. And I know what mine is. It's always been educating people
hmm
or trying to help people with processes. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to let them know there's a process in life. And sex ain't one of those processes until you're mature, got the wealth, and you have the knowledge to. And also, the biggest thing is the problem in this country right now. You know how many people go home to their family or their husband or wife and they going home with the enemy? The enemy showed up at the door. It's like people hate each other when they walk in the door.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
terrible. I mean, I've been through it a couple times.
hmm
Man, let me tell you something. The last thing a man wants to hear when he gets home is a bunch of damn complaints about stuff. And you've been out there working, bringing home the bacon, and then you getting it at home too, just like you getting at work. It's
Yeah.
like no relief. And I'm not talking about all women, but men, if you let a woman run you like a dog, then go and put the leash on right now, homie. Put the leash on.
Mm-hmm.
Let her walk you outside.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, did you hear about the story about how it was like a sixth grade class? I'm not sure where, but I just happened to casually go through this like article in which they were teaching them about masturbation.
no.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I just casually kind of ran across this article and
I mean, I mean, I think that for most men, and they don't talk about it, that's their first sexual outlet.
mm,
I mean, they do have this condition called the blue ball syndrome.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of, like I said, a lot of men don't know this, but your body produces about 1,500 sperm cells per minute from almost your whole life. They got to get out of there. Something's wrong. I'm telling you, if something keeps on growing, it's getting bigger and bigger, like your balls, the blue balls, you have to get rid of that sperm to fit the rest of the ones that are. It's like, look, you can't put 10,000 catfish in one pond and don't start pulling them out of there. What's going to happen?
They're gonna start
All
killing.
of them going to die because they're all want to get out that water.
Yeah, they
And
need their
that's how
space.
sperm cells are.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's where you get your horniness from. That horny feeling that young men get, that's your period. It
I would.
is. It's a
I would.
man's
I would.
period.
I would call it a period.
It is a period of time where something is happening to your body that you have no control over. That is a man's period.
I,
Just
I
like a
would.
woman's
I
menstrual
would call
cycle.
it.
She
I would.
has no a woman, most women don't have any control over their menstrual cycles. It's a period.
Mhm.
It's a period of time where your body is telling you that you're all confused. So imagine this. You have the woman who's ovulating and doing all these different chemical things during times of her months. And then you as a man, I mean, especially young men, I mean, young men are horny all the time. Why? trying to get rid of all the excess sperm cells that's in your testicles. This is a natural thing, and most men masturbate just to get all those sperms out of it. I mean, it ain't like it's drying up; it just keeps on coming. That's where cum comes from. Coming, they keep on coming. They ain't stopping. And you know, these those are the things that younger people need to understand. Hey, especially young men. Hey, when you get to a certain age, when you start growing hair, once you no longer smell like a baby no more, now you smell like a grown ass man. Yeah, you're going through a period of your life.
Mm.
And if you really think about it, would God have made 13 and 14-year-olds the ability to reproduce if they couldn't? So they can reproduce. So that's a natural state. The only thing is, I want to teach young men that if you're not ready to be a father yet, then you shouldn't have one at 13, 14, 18, 21, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Do other things with your life. Don't let women distract you. Go out there and be a star and make all the money you want and have everything ready for your queen when you're ready to be a king.
Right.
Because these young men, they're princesses, but they're not kings. You know,
You know what? Despite the notion about how as far as like people being irresponsible of their seed, I mean, kids are not really being born like a lot like today because the replacement rate is not there to replenish, our future generation that's going to be, dying off. I mean, right now the fertility rate is like 1.7 per 1,000 women, where the replacement rate is like 2.1 thousand per 1,000 women. And you got the notion. Well, right now, I kind of blame social media because everyone is pretty much kind of used to communicating through phones instead of that interpersonal, face to face, conversations or interaction. So, and plus, what we just got through this pandemic, I mean, it really wasn't a boom as far as babies being made.
well, I mean, you don't know who might have had COVID. I
I mean, people didn't care, man.
mean,
People didn't give.
some people did. You know what? A lot more people cared about that than the flu. There was a lot more people cautious about this COVID-19 thing versus the annual flu that wipes out hundreds of thousands of people every year.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm just saying, but
it was the paranoia of the media.
and
It was
again,
mass hysteria.
you know, and this ain't necessarily a good thing, but you also got younger people now who are, I mean, they just don't want to have kids, and I support that. You should not be a parent until you're ready to be one.
Yeah,
So,
issue is
look,
though.
there can be a decline, but just imagine this. Let's wait about 7 years and then let anyone who's 23 now at 30 start having children and see how their kids end up with two mature parents than two immature parents. So maybe we do need to wait. No, I'm encouraging men to wait to have children until they're between the age of 30 and 35. That's a great age to be a father.
I mean, men have no choice but to wait because I mean, more than likely you're going to reach your financial potential once you're in your 30s. Because I mean,
Right,
your 20s. I mean, men for the most part really don't have any money like that. So I mean, this is not like our grandparents' era, in which you have a like a blue collar worker that can kind of pay for college of his several kids. I mean, we don't
right,
have that economy no more. Like right now, you kind of need two incomes in a household, and
right,
plus with the women being in the workforce and them going to school and then going to the workforce. I mean, they're waiting to have kids later in life, and for the most part, people are having one or two kids. It's not like our grandmothers where they had several, like 8, 9, 10 kids.
right.
I don't think we will ever get the era again, ever.
Um, I mean, there's still some families do it. I mean, it's not as common. But I mean, there's some families that have,
very rare, but it was common back then.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, like I said before in one of our other broadcasts, I mean, it's not like they had, TV and movies and other things to do. I mean,
We got Netflix and chill.
yeah, but sometimes you watch the movie and then, I don't know. But I really want to emphasize this thing about the young men, and they just need to understand that. Look, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with having sex, but you have to have safe sex if you're not with a person that you want to have a child with.
Yeah, you got to
And
practice discipline.
huh?
You got to practice discipline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, if I would have got a vasectomy when I joined the military, I probably would have I probably would have had kids later because they got reversible ones.
Mhm.
That's an option that some men need to think about. And I'm not saying that just to neuter men. I'm just telling them that, hey, that's how dangerous it can be if you mess around and slip up, slip out, stay in too long, whatever you do. And
I mean, condoms are very effective if you use them correctly. Use your own condoms. Do not use
correct,
condoms
right.
from
No,
like,
you never use a woman's condom ever.
right. I
And
mean,
I've been offered.
you don't have to go through all those trials of going through a procedure just to kind of make sure that you don't have kids. I mean, yes, that's commendable, but as long as you take care of your personal business and make sure that you have condoms and obviously you can't tell for sure if the woman is on birth control or hopefully she's not ovulating and she has this arterial motive to like try to get pregnant on purpose. I mean, but still, from a man's standpoint, you have to protect yourself,
Right,
regardless of what the woman is doing.
right. Absolutely. 100%. Every single time, you have to make sure that you treat your vessel, your penis, like that's exactly what it is. It's only good for two things: reproducing and excreting urine. Other than that, it's a useless organ.
Useless organ.
Besides having sex and taking a leak,
Uh,
what else do you use it for?
I mean, I can't think of any other pertinent things to for it.
Excuse me. You got me laughing. Nah, man, that was a joke. You know, that's the you know that's what young men need to understand. Like you need to think with your big head versus your small head. And you know, like I said, if you're horny, don't just go find someone to release your universe into. Go to the bathroom, you know, jerk one off, take a shower, feel good. Actually, or orgasm is is one of the best things that people can have in their central nervous system because it releases endorphins that are euphoric feeling.
You ever heard the term semen retention?
What now?
There's some movement that's going around talking about how men shouldn't really be releasing their seed because like every time you release, then you release like a certain like amount of I don't know, proteins or something, and you're like weakening your body by constantly releasing your semen. I mean, it's just some I don't want to say rogue movement, but I've been hearing for like the past couple of years in which men are trying to advocate for like other men to practice semen retention. So I really
Right,
don't understand it. I mean, I get it on the surface level, but I mean, as far as men on a mass scale doing semen retention, then I really don't know if that's going to be really effective. So,
yeah, I've never heard of that. Don't know anything about it.
okay. All right. Yeah. I know you got to get going and kind of take care of some business. So, any parting shots? You been paying attention to the NBA playoffs or anything? See any sports?
Nah,
No.
I don't pay attention to that no more, man. I'm doing research on a couple more books. Uh, I'm not into all that no more.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've been reborn, and I need to tell my stories, or I need to give out information for people. This is very important,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm a very serious person. A lot of people don't can't get me for that. Like it's all right to have fun, but you can have too much fun and be lacking in other areas. And that's one thing I don't do. I don't lack in those other areas. So, I like having fun, but hell, every day ain't no damn party.
Well, let me ask you this. Being that the football season's coming up and we have some excitement about our new quarterback, I mean, will you be
Oh, well, yeah, I'm watching the Bears. No, I watch the Bears.
okay? All
No, I'm a Bears fan until I die, cuz shoot.
right.
Hey, I am not like bandwagon with the bandwagoners. I
Okay.
don't jump on people's bandwagons. Hell no. I'm gonna wear Bears shit until I die.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, I'm very happy with that we got a good quarterback finally. But we need an offensive line now to protect them.
Yeah, we did get a couple of guys through the draft, so hopefully they pan out. Everyone pans out, in which they can be like effective players. But I mean, like the big mystery right now is Green Bay. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Is he going to come back, or is he going to demand a trade, or is he going to retire? So as long as Ron Rodgers not in the division, then hopefully like the Bears will like be that next team up to kind of like dominate the division for like the next decade. So that's assuming if Justin
Yeah,
Fields like get any close to Patrick Mahomes type of talent. So yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on the platform, man. Hey, you welcome back anytime, and we'll try to get at
yeah. Hey, I really would like to get back on and talk to you about uh, the importance of men not being homosexuals.
homosexuals.
Yeah, the homeless men who are just dating women just so they got a place to live. They need to do better with that.
Yeah, I mean, right, men should be on their grind so that they won't be put in that position, and also the women shouldn't be taking in these men in the first place.
Right,
So, but yeah,
right.
that's
Because I mean, a lot of them take them in, and then when they see they sorry, then they kick them out. Then they out homeless again,
hmm
and you know they're not teaching these young boys to be men no more. They teach them to be soft and to just get the little scraps they can get too. Like nah, we need to stop that. We
yeah,
start teaching these young boys to be men and to go, and their job is to go work. And then you go find a woman and get married and have children after that. Instead of, having kids, you can't afford them. Y'all don't like each other. Y'all gonna use the kids against each other. Yeah, it's destructive. It's destructive. We got to repair this.
yeah, I hear that, man. I mean, like the latest buzzwords is like toxic masculinity, in which they really don't want men to be men anymore. They want them to be.
Nah,
And
they act like they act like we don't have testosterone.
yeah,
Testosterone is very toxic.
yeah,
It was given to us for a reason. Like I said, look, when my sons were born, I wanted lions, not lambs.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I never wanted lambs.
I mean
Not
that's
saying I have lambs, but I'm just saying when your son is born, you want a lion. You don't want a lamb.
that's how society propels and gets better by having real men, take that mantle and make it better for the next generation. But if you're gonna keep making these men softer and softer, then I mean, shit. I mean, you can't even have like a decent pool of men to even join the military because they're not really that active. They're very overweight,
A
um,
lot of them are, yeah.
totally feminized. So I mean,
You know what? But I will tell you this though. I'm glad you mentioned that too. I don't think just because you're overweight in the military that disqualifies you from doing certain jobs. But because everybody in the
from
military is
a
a
standard
fighter.
standpoint, I mean, if you're gonna join the military, you have to adhere to the standards. That's
No,
it.
no, no. I'm not saying that, but like I was a fat guy in the Navy for about 10 years,
Mhm.
and most of it came from stress. And so I was overeating. I was drinking excessive amounts of alcohol. I was smoking cigarettes back then. Thank God I quit that. But I still was able to do my job. I was still able to keep up, barely, but I did keep up with my peers. Um, but I still was able to do my job. But I can tell you but I can tell you this about me. You've asked anybody that knows me from the military, I dot all my I's and cross all my T's. And I followed the instructions that were made to run the military. And too many people aren't doing that. And that's why things are failing there too, because they're not following the guidance that's been written. They don't follow the SORN.
Mhm. Yeah.
Look, cuz I appreciate you getting me on the line. Uh, yeah, I'm about to go do some writing and stuff.
All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man. Tell the wife I said hi. And yeah, this Rob and Chi Bullhead on the Corner Store
All
podcast.
right, appreciate it.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
All right,
All right. Peace.
peace.